Mumiana radias no yin and adoye hoda.
Amen.
Yeda ahini mohini nasi. Wonu nhweso pane na ho ban bo. Ne do a brade nyina so. Kiye ne hwan ena moja da so di mu afrosani atechemada podwem. So na dom eni na yemye ne humobro no do so pi. Ama bi asoso meni umienu so. Nyenyi na ye na oyi na adoye hoda.
Amen.
In the Stream of Time Bible Prophecy Series here na year twice na senior debira da yesterday ye can sola scriptura, the Bible and the Bible alone. Solus Christus ye papem nyina ye Christo nkuto enye tradition bi enye forefathers bi enye a historical figures bi almost say, but bibi mu no or say from the Bible, and in the Fapimina Suno should be on Christ. Nejidi enkuto ni bedinya dankwa. Enye ya ho fe esika yenim die yeni edin bi by faith and faith alone. Na dankwa no or the makwa. Last no ye share ni ye addition briefly bi na anasen komodim ni kan say e kai ye den yakopon no. So we're breaking it down. It will take 200,000 years, over 200,000 years of your ketia to pay it. Your yearly salary, gross salary, I won't touch it. Yes, I won't do any need, won't be, I won't rent. Says Kenya and Sakana de Kutia for 1 year will take 200,000 years, over 200,000 years. So it's impossible for us to pay until by grace alone. Down Quanono. Or the makwa, ye the beyan say, ye be accepting the grace no, ye be man the tinny no be drying. Yes, sir, dankwa, a be minum ye dear. Ye be to the glory of God alone, and ye any human institution be, ye attached to human institution, even though ye all lines will be denied 7-day Adventist, but a message no, trust them no ye attached to. It is even crying and say, sorry, can be any trace and boy bra. We will speak up against it because it wouldn't be to the glory of God. It will be to the glory of God alone. And yet, attached to any institution being a fancy institution in the yen and anum the DJ until we will see a bomb buying there be or say it to the glory of God alone. Since institution be a ye be a tia yamiasema. Or say we speak up against it. Sana nyame ediamai, we do everything to the glory of God alone. Psalm 119 verse 11 ye fapim for this Bible study series ye. Say, thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. But there was some esie makumemu na manye boni entia. Ye di nyame asem esi yakumemu ye memorize nyame asem ye sua ye Bible no na nyame hu kokoro kan ho na ye te ase a ebo ye ho nsraban efiri bone ho saa na twere no eka na Bible no kyerɛ kwan ye di sua Bible no ye mo ye sire mu enka de ye pebia or say for precept must be on precept, precept on precept, line on line, line on line, here a little and there a little. Or say Bible nankasa na interpret itself. Ye mo ye sire mu enka de anyhow. Enenye lesson 18 ya title de me repeat no na ye hwe akra na any date no enye December 25th. But Daniel chapter 11 in a focus for some time now. I said the DBA canon Daniel chapter 11 and chapter B a very deep. In Tinia bo anse pa na ye go through verse by verse, line by line, so the baby nya emu entiase. Na last time no yesua ye addition ye and I believe in Daniel chapter 11 verse 28 hanmo na ye and ewo hano. Na ye ka entokwa bi e course so between Augustus Caesar representing Rome any no be ananka before nanka na danfo now mo form a fence a part or emponu no or ware ni nua ba ye fan Anthony did not go Egypt home. There was a war between those two parties. No, now you say eventually, no, Anthony in Egypt were defeated. Anthony or no ankasa kuno. Now Anthony or Ba or didn't say what follow deeply in love with or influencing the actions in Libya and Cleopatra. No, Cleopatra in that defeat, Cleopatra said, "You say a enimguasia di enkafeyina mowu nti Cleopatra efa say ye bedin beko Rome nyako jojo ni die ene oma asp another name for cobra wo cobra eka no ye na him say cobra ya abo bi a oye very poisonous say the chi no say primary very very poisonous so ka obi a they say when ya instant medical intervention who in a ebeba until yesua kopem verse Daniel chapter 11 verse 28 I believe so on the end until verse 29 ha and I be take it off from and then addition Daniel chapter 8 chapter 11 verse 29 Daniel 11:29. Now, or say, and the time appointed, at the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. So read the way now on the first sentence. The first sentence, at the time appointed, it purports that wakatime be one same pen. It is a uko wichia, and we say or time be one sema verses ni movie, and I think say 20. My memory says right. 24 animal. Yeah, until oka time be one sem verse 24 on eno ena all referencing of verse 29. Until 24 no say he shall enter peaceably unto the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter them, the prey and the spoil and riches, and he shall focus his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. So mukaya dana day na ye verse 24 no ye kan ho asem no, can say ye ka say time ewo prophetic time one a trace say you got prophetic time is a prophetic year na prophetic year no person dey buy a literal years more person tears here yen time a use no more this offer prophetic year no o convert no to days, prophetic days. In the prophetic year, nyame calendar muno, there are 360 days in a year. Sa calendar na Jew for no use. Ye calendar year ye use a day. Your friend a Gregorian calendar. And your time you use Gregorian calendar. It's only as a sunny ma. But original nentesa, ne 360 days in a year according to nyame calendar. It is a Bible on commission or more time be prophetic time be. You have to use God's calendar to make sense of it. Which means 5 day at 365 and 1/4 days in a year. It in even for a time hanuma or say prophetic 1 year. Prophetic 1 year nie the same as literal 1 year. To say you say afia kwa apro abetue 2025 January aba be see December the 1 year no and you can say a literal year and a prophetic year. It in a time in prophecy a year in prophecy. A year in prophecy no person they call a year literal year more. And this all converting 1 year into days. And so you get 360 days because in my calendar there are 360 days in a year. Now, so 360 days in a year, no. And then you so catcher Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 6, and Numbers chapter 14 verse 34 say, I have appointed thee each day for a year. Into Nyameka say prophecy no ka say a day or patch say a year. Ewo yen literal years mo. It is our time we na offense all canon 360 years. Now last time no you can ho asem say sad time no 360 years no appointed to I mean call back to 2900 because maybe say it best spend too much time. So yes, you can say 360 years no and they ewo AD 330 na AD 330 no BBC wo ho AD 330 BBC an important event BAC and any the year Emperor Constantine offer the capital of the Roman Empire na Rome no or transfer capital from Rome to a kura no di ni din ato so no acheche di ni din ato so na your friend Constantinople exact time 3 AD 330 no yes ade na sa move no year no and in the beginning the weakening of the Roman Empire no it started say after the empire in a weaker air form no na nyame aka to what that exactly that time say never happen and that time so yen sabe pen be mo into AD 330 no ena Emperor Constantine or transfer the Roman Empire capital ye na yenim say na ye room no or the call a crew I friend Constantinople and na yin sa crew na that so ho e wo Turkey ye friend Istanbul it is sanity it you know that time no can have the time appointed in AD 330 no come was it was at the time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. Na me ready a ha kakre patch up me hwa de me turn me screen in my because me slice be on my like my hiding no because as a repetitions me say me who say me scroll and sign and sure yeah and just the time appointed no as already shown is AD 330, at which time the power was to return and come again toward the south, but not as of the former occasion when it went into Egypt, nor as the latter when it went into Judea. Last time, you see and say, Sir Rome, or if I say, and come to the conquer if I say, after so defeating Antony in Egypt, or sabe conquer the I mean go back na me yeah after say first or conquer Egypt verse 28 or conquer Egypt ni Antony any Cleopatra or beside the crew na a train or say he shall do exploit or say and his heart shall be against the holy covenant. In the holy covenant, holy covenant na at that time not the people of God na a I can say Jew for so that time Christianity replace Jew for as the chosen people, but that time Christians no me a Jew for not do no by far na Jew for enti eno ho na oka ho asem 8 animal but mention is to say on Daniel chapter 11 sa point am be na o say ka bidi kan Daniel chapter 11 from verse 16 to verse 28 oka Rome ho asem but oka a part of Rome your friend pagan Rome, abosonsum Rome. Omu nyame ni, obosom no omosom no. Omu a Jupiter, a Zeus, the Greek gods, ni other gods bebre kwa. Pagan Rome no, omo kana but Rome no, there were two faces. There were two faces. Faces as in PHASES. Enye enimu face in America. There were two faces. The first face in a pagan room. In a pagan room, a dane a bear paper room and a papa room. And only a Papacy, Vatican, Roman Catholic Church. And there were two faces. So we go back to Nebuchadnezzar, the die no swing about the Honina. So Honina and nine ned that year. It was iron. But ni feet no. And yet that year, unqua, but also a that year any clay. But still at that year womb. It's Rome and the nine age on a drama Rome. Rome and he no a guye, the Roman Empire, pagan Roman Empire, and a guye no. The very place no still a Rome womb. Not still a know that year, and that year is stronger than clay. It's not that the end that's womb a war, who Nancy. And as our Honey Nancy no. And one a bit have a bedroom in Nancy not tell Sir Christ. And he need beba a buona a fence enya and sa and a 2 year a beshu Honey nine, which represents Christ, the kingdom of Christ. No, it's no a room a he need. About 2 more to sacrifice about Minty and near Minu yet as Roma he no, which is the second phase of the Roman power no. The papal room, the Vatican no. They are still powerful. They work behind the scenes and influence all these governments around the world. Now you'll be amazed by how much power that little horn or in verse 29 there's the beginning of the transition from pagan Rome abosonsum to Roman Catholic papacy Rome no. It is in a and so on. And just at the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, and it shall not be as the former or as the latter. At the end of Bible, no patch or high. Or say at the time, Mr. and kind, or say a sad time appointed in the AD 330. You can't under that. Now, Osabe returning and come again toward the south. But not as the former occasion when it went to Egypt, nor as the latter when it went to Judea. Those were expeditions which resulted in conquest and glory. Edi kaina or call former time no call Egypt no or call defeat Antony any Egypt any Cleopatra no. He came with glory or after he came back in glory. And a former time now or free Egypt to buy an affair or call a Nyamema assassin no Judea no or destroy a Jerusalem as a temple no AD 70 no and yen no asem na all can no but the all can say it shall not be as the former and yet to say the former or as the latter a bit different or say this one led to a demoralization and ruin, the removal of the seat of empire to Constantinople, the medical kind of Emperor Constantine the Great, will remove empire and seat from Rome, at the core Constantinople. That began the decline of the empire, and because the ANC say will remove the core Rome into Amaya empire is made up of kingdoms. It is under kingdoms that share Roman Empire na no. Almost started some agitated. The barbarians started fighting against the Roman Empire. No. Until eventually, in AD 476, Enna Omutumi passed the rule over all these kingdoms. And but now comes and I can say Iron Rome was still maintain some power within succeeding Ahini Ebebabia until Sir Christ Ahini Ebebano. Until AD 76, historical literary history Biana, the year history crown Jitum say Roman Empire and I say pagan Rome eba ewie no AD 476 in a bay way. But you all can hand say, and shall come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. They would a Roma enye sound saying or returning enye as strong as before no. Verse 30 or say, for the ships of Shittim. I mean, say make pronounce this way ni and I say a Kittim, because sometimes CH it me pronouncing to say the EK. Until also, but for the ships of Shittim shall come against him, pagan Rome, therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. I see anything, dear no patri. Or say so also 2 way I see. Also, who say up to verse 29, Daniel chapter 11, verse 29, we have been dealing with the power that was introduced in verse 16. It is from 16, to 28, 29, power here can one seven a pagan room, as pagan room that occupied the role of the king of the north. Now we begin dealing with an additional face of Rome. Instead of make us say Rome, it with two faces. You pagan Rome. Yes, you tell me a war no. Na Rome for na Jerusalem ni Judea shen masomuna na mshe embra. Ye nyim Yesu a ye omode tax eto ho no Augustus Caesar share tax edit tax eto obi aso no. Ama Yesu ma menen papa no nti no mutu kwan se omo go back to omukrum Bethlehem no to be counted no. Na Rome for na ediso almost so. Now sa Rome no was pagan Rome. You say it yes. Na and as you see no you transition from pagan Rome to papal Rome. Roman Catholic Church na shasiye no. A very interesting very interesting. Estate because once obron sama o de yen kwa adisia no so na ayesa na say me digress too much, but the year question no say the prophecy in the 11th of Daniel has nearly reached its complete fulfillment. Much of the history that has taken place in fulfillment of this prophecy will be repeated in the third in the where Ellen White quote na first me quote in the 30th verse. A power is spoken of that shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Also here she points out the beginning of a new phase of Rome. That is papal Rome. The papal Rome I feel that ni 2 mean as at rise. But ni 2 mean no. As I think it's na before no na a pagan for no na control the Roman emperor no, and I said the Roman Empire pagan for no control and Roman Catholic Church papacy and starting kitty and on Paul I can one say the mystery of iniquity doth already work. It Paul time crying no event saying the apostle Paul time crying na subanya event say be lead abe form Catholic Church na starting in Christendom, starting with Christianity mo. Na Paul, Paul a prophet or shen come bebre. Paul shen come say it has already started. It does already work. It we are transitioning to papal Rome. This power is upset because of the ships of Shittim that come against the king of the north. Ships of Shittim was a Kittim. I can say, what does that represent? Yeah, just say, be the ships. Everybody Rome about is a fancy DSC. Oh, now, and you know who are these people? No. So the question is, what are the ships of Kittim or Shittim that afflict papal Rome? Now, if my main monitor found one. because a near man make me reading and I do also pan one have take time until measure say be a salient points in mumna midway to fancy me mention. But I promise it will be and say, see the book of Daniel chapter 11 yeah. That you read Daniel chapter 11 presentation any notes na me use no me the better because who reading notes na and I boa multi verses na see me the better platform no so me any PDF file na me the platform so na will be interested no but I encourage you also be interested to study it on their own leisure. You know, or say ships of shittim and why more we can say ships of shittim now. There's a reference to it even in another. Say you should let the Bible interpret itself. It's referred to. I mean, per quotation, and I mean really Isaiah 23 verse 1. Or can't be view or no. Isaiah 23 verse 1. Patrol, I mean really said a bear. My fan to a PowerPoint in a so it is a reading oral. Isaiah 23 verse 1. So the BIA can you should let the Bible interpret itself. Now I'm going to say I talk and I say a shittim ha, but a Bible other fancy verse more Bible. Isaiah 23. Yes. But when you read King James version, use because NIV we NIV is a very suspicious translation of the Bible because they omit so many important things. Change name or NIV. Do read King James version now or say how TM to say be a my how ye ships of Tarshish, for it is laid waste so that there is no house. No entering in from the land of Shittim. The Shittim is already mentioned in the Bible. It is revealed to them. Now, usia a Bible no, and now usia fancy his history. So you realize that Shittim no, islands be a fancy on the coast of the Mediterranean, on the African continent, or na a fancy a Christopher akotna and that's because the kingdom be one more near from Vandals. Now Vandals no unse usia history usia about Carthaginian empire. Carthage no more Africa. In actual fact baby no more na Tunisia. Unse sesia no share you call Africa na ko share bia Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, no one can say Arab na beguo no mabe, but next those areas na nya Arab for asase. We go way back na nya Arab for asase. A train no Islam ebaye no Islamic conquest because Islam there it wasn't just a religion na akon na no dey spread it. Islam by na Islam conquer all these fencing areas na Islam about on the African continent na Islam if the northern part of Africa na is sanibasa itini baby a enuru no ubo na akopem nti uko Ghana kra na unse Islam no the northern part of Ghana na inkrimofo a uduru south na entumi ama south fencing conquest na entumi ama south on but pem one nti sa na tie itini sa Carthaginian empire American one sem and also kingdom here American one sem no enye Arab one sem na ye ka tititi na mo Africans na no they were very known in fencing ship makers and ship warfare as a navy kwa because Tunisia mpoano Tunis mpoano intino no they were known ship makers and they had a very powerful navy. Now, Vandals on Carthage for me use those names interchangeably because ye Christopher and a fence near from Vandals, but sir a Christopher they rose up against Rome because Papacy yes sorry no na nyom na Christians. There were other Christian sects who no more challenges a bishop of Rome no authority over them. There was a war fencing they engaged them in a warfare. And say, for the ships of Shittim shall come against him, papal Rome. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. My children Shittim a Carthage, a modern day Tunisia, but no munyan kremofo to say the any omo I said Egypt for to say Egypt I kremofo mine by Egypt original Egypt no yen kremofo asase na a abosonsomfo in a tree no a Greek for and Greek philosophy be ingrained into Egypt but in a tree no in Egypt say it has undergone so many changes in terms of omuni personal. Sa pepe penalty with like Tunisia any Tunisia versus Titi Hodi no. But Titi Hodi asem ne ye can until sana pese yeti ase. Or say many have tried to identify the ships of Shittim but have failed because they did not take into account the context of Papal Rome. In identifying the ships in the context of Papal Rome as the king of the north, Uriah Smith, Revelation, Daniel and Revelation, I might say yeah, started with Daniel and the book of Daniel. No, my reference point in Pan, a dear me share with all of us Daniel and Revelation by Uriah Smith. Uriah Smith. Daniel Revelation by Uriah Smith. A book so who thought 10 comes here also be a kind. Because a church mupa details no baby na free sa a book no and but men can say there was a mistake in the interpretation echo Daniel chapter 11 and echo ne by Uriah Smith. Later on Uriah Smith later on in his life it's reported that he admitted that a mistake in the interpretation. But so far, the interpretation is on point. In identifying the ships in the context of Papal Rome as the king of the north, Smith came to the following helpful insight in prophetic history. What country or power is meant by Shittim? On Isaiah 23 verse 1 it has this note: from the land of Shittim it is revealed, or when I'm reading, a Bible verse I'm reading, Isaiah 23 verse 1, from the land of Shittim it is revealed to them, the news of the destruction of Tyre by Nebuchadnezzar is said to be brought to them from Shittim, the islands and the coast of the Mediterranean. For the Tyrians, say Jerome, historian, on verse 6, when they saw they had no means of escape, fled in their ships and took refuge in Carthage. It was Shittim, the same as Carthage. A dinu krana no hwemu krana yase Carthage, Carthage, and in the islands of the Ionian and Aegean Seas. So also Geoffrey, another historian, gives the same locality to Shittim, namely the coasts and islands of the Mediterranean. And the mind is carried by the testimony of Jerome to a definite and celebrated city situated in that land, that is Carthage. Was ever a naval warfare with Carthage as a base of operations waged against the Roman Empire? Into what we see history mu a Carthage for Carthaginians normally the ships a wage war against the Roman Empire. Roman Empire is here referencing the second phase, Papal Rome. Also, we have but to think of the terrible onslaught of the Vandals upon Rome. On Carthaginians, they were Vandals. a kingdom kingdom near from Vandals ni room it was a fierce war, and the general be no say king Genseric Genseric a Google or a known historical figure also under the fierce Genseric to answer readily in the affirmative. Sailing every spring from the port of Carthage at the head of his numerous and well-disciplined naval forces, or some man ni military, ni navy, ni naval forces, no, he spread consternation through all the maritime provinces of the empire. That this is the work brought to view is further evident when we consider that we are brought down in the prophecy to this very time. In verse 29, the transfer of empire to Constantinople we understood to be mentioned. Following in due course of time, as the next remarkable revolution came, the eruptions of barbarians of the north. Makanhuasem said, Constantine, a move capital to Constantinople, from Rome to Constantinople, and exactly say a weaken the Roman empire. No. Now, obviously, in a weaken and one day a empire never follow, because Constantine was like 4th century. 300 and something AD, but empire nana follow 476 AD. In between that time na Constantine make his move no na after the barbarians no barbarians that is say Germanic I can say Germanic descendants no almost attack the empire no, because the empire was weakened. Will be a penny found the in the weakened state na Vandals for so sorry Satana Papacy pagan Rome for not Papacy so rise not Pope any Catholic Church so rise as it kind of like intersects sir. History no war, but sa war no fencing omona eka ho asem na sa Vandals we no one say time yes about the book of Daniel na ye ka sa aboa na terrible beast na owo abebendu me set to go ye because of kituwa bi afifi ewo mfimfin kitwa bi ana osi owo eni ti se nipani owo anuka nsem akese tie oso hene no saa beben miensa no se mukan ya mechire mu se eye kingdoms bi ana eye part of the Roman Empire na 10 kingdoms na 3 of them no abeben kitwa no na ejina ma the Vatican Pope Roman Catholic Church etu miensa gui miensa no heruli Ostrogoths, Vandals. Some Vandals were no Roman Catholic Church, Papacy, Vatican, Pope, massive from history. You don't find them anymore. The same with the Heruli for or Ostrogoths for no. But some to Quano like eradication no. Dio finalizes at the end Emperor Justinian. And Emperor Justinian in the Roman Emperor after the only 2 meaning Emperor 2 meaning na or the Vatican or the Pope no. You know, or Crown Pope you say the Bishop of Rome, which is a Pope in the actual title, or named the Bishop of Rome no. Or say or no any the head of Christendom. Na sadie no ye no or ye no AD 538 na and is a non-conscious AD 538 is the beginning of the actual rule with power on abridged power of the Roman Papacy of the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church 538 AD in Bible Commission and a Bible Commission in the book of Daniel can say Obe rule for 1,260 years. When you are one day, fencing, yen should and spend it too much time. And then yen check because verse, I think say we with this verse in verse 31 on about 743, but the Hanono is so rich in history. One sentence, and then I can say, Yamina yesum no mu ye mama say, o to me one sentence pe capture so much history. Because I don't think say nipa bet me di nitrimu. You can say about history tougher history over thousands of years and hundreds of years. Won't me for one sentence and mon tougher. But yami the order born tougher. A man yami who ye me pa say verse 31 no Daniel chapter 11 verse 31 say, and the arms shall stand on his part. Then no patche. The arms. E ka say arms that is akodie shall stand on his part. Sesia ye ka say hisa no the Roman Papacy, the Vatican, the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church, the same thing. And ye can want them. Or say the arms akodie no ebejina nafa. And they shall pollute. Na omu sa institution we no. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. Again, our party said, again, a sanctuary of strength. What does the Bible mean by sanctuary of strength? And shall take away the daily. King James Version, no. What a sacrifice in you put in italics. Who read the King James Version of the Bible? Where be ya training in italics? The church say, no. And yet original translation, but translators no more translating from Hebrew no to whether I say Hebrew and I say Greek no to English no. They use those italic words as fillers because they thought say no nebema I make it more sense. Once a kasa we who no to kasa no the kasa translate be from Brofo to English. A do baby, I just say what the words need be to make sense to your audience and answers to your readers. In his King James Version, a drew. But on so minimum who say this word nana ewa italics nana and yet original any original offense original Hebrew no more. But almost they are shame because they think say it will make the sentence make more sense. Sana you read the entire say. You can read it as say, and shall take away the daily. So I point I'm saying me make it. And me say me share sacrifice in moon. Say sacrifice in it is in italics. Into one the shell. And they shall take away the daily. The pagan Rome, the Vatican, the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church, shall take away the daily, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And some will be winning a DNA. A DNA. Or say an arm shall stand on his part. I'm breaking it down one by one. An arm shall stand on just say arms just according shall stand on his part. Roman Catholic Church, Vatican are a religion. And as I political authority, because we United Nations it's the only religious institution that almost sits at United Nations and as a country, because Vatican I know say city and a country at the same time, so it's recognized at the United Nations as a country. But I'm saying say religion and or depending on political authority, ahini kings for the power, like so execute to bibia, or yusu ahemfo, or yusu and because the presidents to achieve his ends. An arm shall stand on his part, nor can once them. The upper say, Sir Papacy. Sa a Roman Catholic Church ombe yusu ahini kings are already in existence. Omu authority, omu tumi, because ahini biano no ni tumi is seen in its arms, in the force to me apply. Uti and ransem so or the force becho or the back of the court or bebu ebu at time or the force be jail. Enti no Roman Catholic Church no a fencing of him for no two political powers no they shall stand on his part on support to Roman Catholic Church no, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. Now sanctuary of strength in so as the chair is saying we may born a tougher because of a time need to know. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. The sanctuary of strength. What do we mean? Or say the Catholic political powers of the empire would pollute the sanctuary of strength, which would have a devastating effect on the faithful Christians. It was the introduction of pagan teachings and traditions in Christianity that polluted the biblical teachings or doctrines of the true believers. The sanctuary of strength. Baby a nyamesum for pan, Christo for pan, almost strength a one the Bible. Sola scriptura. Bible no na Christo for omahuodin na wo. Na Roman Catholic Church, they shall pollute the Bible, no, the sanctuary of strength, no, and shall take away the daily. I can't sacrifice in a filler word. They shall take away the daily. What does that mean? Time a Catholic Church rising no. Not 2 million a pagan room, abosunsum room. Rome no man kasa mo masofo. Omo priest wo ho. Ah, the offense omo ye omo nyankuma de e wo ho. Ena pagan Rome, ena papal Rome, Roman Catholic Church rising gradually. And I fade ye, sa 2 million nanka a year abosonsum for massofo no 2 million. Roman Catholic Church, it just had 2 million. And almost is almost just had 2 million. The first time almost satisfied almost just had 2 million was in AD 321 or 324. A mubako make us and did but a mubako. Sa time no na Emperor Constantine. Not all call war or say or so die say on cross on check cross into the soldiers no more shield any or more a fencing or more helmets so no matter the on cross into so or yes I no bedin kunim to yes I no offensing or yes I no din kunim and now say or be Christoni a converted a Christian a Christian and no status of recognize Roman Catholic Church and say the Papacy no I said the religion of the pagan Roman Empire. Until originally no a Christopher no more Roman a first or more Nick Constantine a boom or more adopt to pagan for no almost some almost temples no crown and almost fence almost take over almost temples no into Roma. A lot of Catholic Church buildings in a pagan temples. Ena omo adopt to omo ahoni no. It say ohoni of Jupiter and that is Zeus. No much change din no. You say Peter, Saint Peter near the Peter edianto so. Omo ohoni to say Madonna or say Virgin Mary near changing the din no. Enti no de first say omo pollute Bible no and church and Christos so pollute no. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, the Bible, and shall take away the daily. The daily no abosomsom. Nanka pagan nanka room for no omote. No me abosomsom for. Eventually no say Roman Catholic Church ebenya power. At this omo to me a crochet and also minya to me over pure abosomsom for no. The pagan room for no omo priest ni one Jupiter ni one more omo aso for no. This say omo to me over them, and that's exactly what happened. And also they shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. So our phrase where Jesus saying the book of Daniel, I'm saying Daniel chapter 8, so and once when you shall see the abomination that maketh desolate, stand in the raise Jesus in the cancer, stand in the sanctuary area. It's a yenya na if I say a reference or Bible. And you know what happens in say almost a Roman Catholic Church no almost the year fully take over no was 538 AD no. Sa year no na America say emperor no si Justinian no after die or crochet because even sa emperor Constantine ya yaka so asacha no Constantine no da so bosom history united so bosom sa till say obe wunu no odani wu paso no na omo yi se omo nasu. It is that time no nya na abosonsom no pagan room na da so omo asofo no mo ye ejuma because ono no o use as propaganda say wasakra say the bear Christopher ba bua na fighting the war and you know or yes wa convert no but the actual conversion no mami backtrack kakra the actual conversion no the first king within the Roman Empire ono no yes wa converted genuinely ye born esu no na ye Clovis of France and so no nkom hye eka say obeyesa and it happened 508 AD 508 in a Clovis or ye wa converted say wa be during the first king Clovis in the first king Mekan say or ye genuinely converted say wa be Catholic and wa be Christian now until no converting or starting is o use ni to me the arm shall stand on his part. Or you soon to mean to suppress or be out or yet against Catholic Church. In a Clovis no Sir King no King of France. Clovis no none yere before so or over such a refer a Clotilde. No only a Catholic fancy no only a Catholic. Into a Clotilde no na fancy a new influence and a man converted a Catholic and or ye baptizing in AD 508. Who read the Bible comes I believe say a Daniel chapter 12 or Kasafa AD 508 no asem because AD 508 about 30 years before say Justinian edit 2 meaning in a Roman Empire 2 meaning in a map pope no and I conscience so can say pope no onya Roman Empire 2 meaning yana fe or crochet or take away the daily or crochet pagan for na pure apostle for no domini Christo no because Roman Catholic Church omo di Christo di at the same time no omo di busunsum ewo it as I say a marriage between Christianity and paganism and then a Roman Catholic Church but before them no a pure busunsum without Christianity so they took away the pure busunsum without Christianity no the Christian Yesu din Bible no etututu eniema so omudi infuse ye enti no fencing 538 AD pa no eno mutumi estate na conscience no so can say omunya sa tumi na they shall rule for 1260 years in over 538 AD now the 1260 years ekanwa you get 1798 now Bible no says 1798 no say that is the beginning of the time of or say that is the time of the end. Bible uses that phrase and said the time of the end, because after 1260 years of Roman Catholic Church, rule and so rule market the Dark Ages from 538 AD. So yeah, a history I was school more 538 AD. From the Dark Ages no because I'm suppressed say Bible you can't have the Bible. You chose so put a Bible. If I say ye betcho na ye do akọ ye bua ofo a ya akyekyerew aboduam ye twaja to wase ya hyew wuti ye ya ye twa mene ye twa ye se kan twa wuti golentan the church say pain no tia so. They were doing so many things against Christianity. And now no church so pollute the Bible no because in church no much dodo na enye biblical. It be a biblical, but dodo na enye biblical. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. They shall pollute the Bible. The Bible is the sanctuary of strength. And only Christo ni biana bibia yenya sanctuary. Unya ahodoso a shawding. We could read the Bible na we feel depressed. Mid and only atrium say the sanctuary of strength for Christians the Bible no. Until they shall pollute it, they shall take away abosonson the daily no. And as the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. The a fencing, a chiwa dear, a bomb mine, the be ra Christianity mo, Yamisumu. Until she be Catholic for a church and a biblical. Now, 538 AD, not Justinian, a mom sat to me, no, sad time, no swan or white pool. Unse ohonino or abebendu me and say to guye me and say to gu the last one no was overthrown. I think it was the Ostrogoths in 538 AD. Omo na challenge Catholics no ye from of Catholics for no charge omo say omo church a heresy any Bible no boy bra and omo say they are Arians. Now the interesting thing is say sir a kofo we are Catholic two masin. These were people who had no much documented history. Almost history ni the Catholic Church and white home history nobody has any historical record of this group of people. If almost history say almost beliefs, but many people believe we say those kofo no. They were Sabbath keepers. They were Sabbath keepers. And until a year the target for the Catholic Church to wipe them from existence. And they accuse them of heresy. I mean, maybe some Chinese salient point because they are the Siana baby about 801. You'll be okay, I'm say maka nina intino me de ye de ena adisuano no ebesi ahanom yeah maka Clovis one sem ye born a su 508 AD or targeted omo Catholic Church no and already I think it's Revelation chapter 12 now I believe say chapter 12 no so 1260 or the ma a Catholic Church na so be di nyamema eni no kunku nyamema no started 538 no already I think say Revelation chapter 12 after the on my time of say 1290 because or the Constantine Clovis time which is 508 yes 30 years before Justinian. Into no find a 508 now the 1290 year calculation you end up in the same year 1798 in yaka one same pen say sa year no BBC sa year no enna a emperor Napoleon Bonaparte or Mache or the general or smart general back home I friend the Dinkrana will Timo say the best chance so say the Osman general a man march to Rome or call Vatican a coach Pope and no suicide time no I believe any friend Pope Pius and or events or chain or say prisoner or deep a Pope no call back to France jaily offense Pope Pius until say Pope Pius. A few years later, Papacy a year. And that is when a Bible comes and can say, the end of time and a beginning, and that's when Roman Catholic Church they receive their deadly wound. No, but Yakupon so as I kind of in the book of Revelation say, wound it will be healed. In the Catholic Church, they are going to rise again, and no more rise again. Eventually, they are going to say, arms shall stand on their part. To me, powers, political powers, and this time led by United States of America, they are going to use their military and economic power to back Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, the Papacy, and so that deadly wound will be healed. Now, a healing they will persecute the children of God. Sana and Comshe Eka. Intine Yedibesi Hanumona a for questions. Yamia Duma, it will take off from verse 32. If you verse 32 no conde Yamia Duma bear faster kakrana the book of Daniel chapter 11 baby. 12 need a very short. Intine Monkama command to me, eventually be a baby. But also do a question and our contributions I quite that one. Say baby will honor say be a kind we hear any clarification a kind that was out to me bisa. Sister Priscilla, where Messiah Quaja o
that be basisia.
You wait question be my dear and na a
when you that's it in Chichimo on to Boise when you Chichimo my if you said the kind no who be here say from time to time you be reference the audio go on say be ya be boy am ya tiasi because you tie the trans and say when ya be out besan they refresh the what no on na free mtiesrem you know like you make it a point be say and I say you duty say be reference information happening we go amay no it does if you pen radin kan that's it.
Amen. The poku so nyame nhira na radin kan ho. Ya no kwa sema Dr. Jinabe say chin na bia ni ho. Say ade no one reference on your own so utie say obi kasa na I just the uko school pepe. Say uko school na say your teacher ni gina wani na o church we be a very difficult concept or church was here. What a classroom on and Becca said the what here say pow. But if you want to say the question we be two when him say the or chair one no. I feel the Jinasuna for answer question was not for the now more chill. The best way to study in say one casan after say ebia wako school teacher ni bia chawa de no oko back now call referencing material na bia we practice questions. So that's the best way a ma information we retain. Now I think say we can say we Daniel chapter 11 na me notes na yin na beto so but ebia me de beto so right now na just say obi a opebia no because we share notes na I think say eboapa eboama oti so one kasa we video on your own na eboama I refresh show and a biom so no the addition yes so you record and so now I also encourage say unya ho a na wasa etie bi wasa tie ni biom me kra na me ka say media addition na nim kra na am misaka akuti recording no because eboa me so by listening to the recording no the man encourage you be me kasa very slow until me say me tie me ankasa me voice me forward na actually me tie YouTube bia na we play a video na at higher than normal speed but internet say enchesa we understand now you don't spend too much time now we video no you till we there say question bia ni ho there Any ahana and addition and yidibisi. Now, mistress say, Ma Cynthia, and I enter on country mistress says, so was so ka boy closing prayer na my. So, Ma Cynthia, I busy. My sister said, well, mistress say we close with the prayer, my.
Did you form patron member umpire? Yaja was sorry, that was say, and then you may wa addition or they are marrying if elder, a free elder ho. That was a papa yesu addition emu odu. Na nam wadom no mu broho nti enyina yetimi etie ate ase. Yebɔ mpaeɛ srɛ wo sɛ papa yesu. Mmerɛ edu akyire no yɛbɛhu science a ɛkyerɛ sɛ papa wɔ mayɛ no abɛn. Na ɛwɔ sɛ yɛnyinaa yɛhu w'asɛm no ne yɛte aseɛ na yɛtumi de yɛ adwuma wɔ yɛn yɛbrabɔ yi mu. Papa yɛsrɛ wo sɛ na wɔtwe a yɛsi mu yi bɛka yɛn ho bɛbɔ yɛn ho ban yɛfiri mu so ne ɛsɛm biara mu. Na daa ne daa nyinaa Awurade yɛmfa w'asɛm no enyi dwuma wɔ ɛnɛ wiase mu. Sɛ ayɛ bɔne bi mpo a Awurade yɛsrɛ wo sɛ ɔde bɛkyɛ yɛn. Yɛgyae Elda ne n'abusua nyinaa hyɛ wo nsa. Yɛsrɛ wo sɛ wobɛma n'adwene ne nyansa a wobɛtumi de asua so na wabɛkyerɛkyerɛ yɛn papa na yɛtumi ate w'asɛm n'ase. Yɛ a yɛwɔ line no so nyinaa yɛgyae yɛn ho hyɛ wo nso hyira yɛn. Yɛne yɛabusuafoɔ nyinaa. Na anadwo yi yɛkɔ dɛn ma yɛda yɛn yɛ dɛ soso adayɛpa na ade kyea yɛde ayɛyie ne n'ase ama ade nkonkron no. Wei ne yɛsrɛ wɔ dɔba Yesu Kristo din mu nti. Amen.
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 We de say na de bia ye no ye bet ma ye na ye ho mespa.
Sɛ yɛdi ntetemo. Amen.
Amen. Yamitra ni mo 99.
Amen.
Amen.